Okay, so we're going to change an alternator on a MK1 Toyota Yaris 1 litre. Start off by disconnecting the battery at the negative terminal, and then you can start undoing some of the bolts. So here we have a tensioner, which is a manual one which needs to be released. So start off by undoing this bolt, which is a 12mm, and then this back one, which is a 10mm. But first, crack the bottom bolt free, just so that way you can get some flex, which is a 14mm. Once this is loosened fully, then you're able to move the alternator, because the belt's going to be loose. So that way you can remove the belt. Next, remove this bolt all the way. Now from under the car, you've got two clips to undo. One is here, which is just an actual clip, so you press into the side and then you pull it away. And the other one is just up here, which has this cover on it, which just pulls away. Slide it back. Slide it back, and then you've got a 10mm nut on the top here. Once you've loosened the 10mm nut enough with the spanner, and then you can do the rest by hand. That's the nut. And then you can undo this little cable. Just pull this cable up, and it should come off. And then that's off. Now you're ready to undo the final bolt, which is the 14mm socket. Before we undo that, you need to do a few preparations. One is to drop the exhaust, because there's no way of getting the alternator out of the car without dropping the exhaust. Just behind the subframe, you've got these bolts that hold up the centerpiece of the exhaust, which are 10mm. Before you do that, disconnect the O2 sensor. And then loosen these 10mm bolts. And the same on the other side. And then when you can, loosen them by hand. And pull these out. And the same with this side. Pull that down. Now that gives you enough room to get it out, but to make it a little bit easier, you can disconnect the exhaust pipe from just here after the manifold. So to do that, disconnect the O2 sensor, and then you've got these little clips which come off just by putting a screwdriver behind them, and you just pop them out. and then you've got another one down here. Let that go down and go back up. And from underneath you've got these two pins, and the same on the other side. And be careful because this is going to drop, so make sure you're holding it once these are loose. Make sure you're holding it once these are loose, because otherwise it will drop. And just make sure it goes out of your way. Now you're ready for that bolt. Once it's loose enough, then you can do the rest by hand. And then you're ready to pull the bolt through. And after that, make sure you're holding the alternator because it's going to drop. Now you need to get it through to remove it. At the moment I've got the drive shaft removed, so you're able to see it, but usually this won't be able to come through the bottom, so you have to weave its way round through here. And then you have to meet it on the other side of the subframe and persuade it to come out. If you put it so it's this way around, that's the easiest way to get it out. Now put the new alternator back in and then put the exhaust back on. Okay, so put the new one in. I'm just going to do it this way because I've already got the drive shaft out. Once you've got the alternator in, put the bottom bolt through. You might need a little wiggle just to make sure you've got it lined up. And that's through that way. Next, put this lead back on. And secure it with a nut. And then plug this lead back in. Now we're going to have to do this nut up. And once that's tight, this little cover back up. Okay, now that you've got the two wires in, don't tighten this up fully because you still want it to have a bit of movement whilst you tighten up the belt. So put the belt back on. And then once the belt's on, go back to the top, make sure it's all aligned, and then tighten it up. Okay, so it's all lined up, so therefore what we need to do now is to put our bolt back through this tensioner, line it up with the alternator, and then start screwing it on. Okay, we've tightened this bolt up, but not fully, because if you tighten it all the way then you won't be able to adjust this back bolt for how tight you want the belt. So tighten this up so there's no slack in it. And then, as you can see, there's a lot of slack in the belt. Keep tightening this until you get to the right tightness. Before I set the tension, I'm going to go and put the exhaust back on. And so start off by getting the exhaust, put it back up. And start doing up the bolts. Try and do them a bit evenly. Once they're tight, you can put the O2 sensor back. So just push it up to the top, just reconnect it. And then you've got these little tabs that need to just clip in. And you've got one lower down as well. That's done. Now you need to do the middle bit behind the subframe. So put these over, then connect them into these holes. Do the same on the other side. And then just push these little rubbers just so they sit a little bit better. Then you can reconnect this O2 sensor. And then you're done from under here. With the used belt, the deflection should be between 11.5mm and 12.5mm. So that's how tight we need to tighten it to. So we've still got a bit of a way to go. Once you've got it as tight as you want, then you can start doing up, you can tighten up this bolt to lock it into place. Once you've got that tightened, then you need to do up the bolt at the bottom. I'm going to tighten this bolt down. Once it's tight, then you're done. Then all you've got left to do is to connect the negative terminal, and then you're done. The only thing I didn't show is how to remove the under trays. That's it, then you're done. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe if you want more.